everyone, my name is Christy. Welcome back to my channel. If you're a fellow subscriber or if you're new here, welcome, subscribe. I do a lot of content around lifestyle, home decor, and sprinkle a little bit of mom things and fashion as well. So if you're interested in any of these things, be sure to subscribe. So today's video is going to be about tips to elevate your home, whether that is focusing mainly on new construction homes, which is what I have. And when it comes to new builds, it can be a little bit hard to make sure that your home feels differentiated from your fellow neighbors, especially like being in a community, and it can give a sense of a cookie cutter style. And so these tips here will help you create some form of make it feel more custom and more unique. So I have my phone here that I'm going to be referring back to for these tips, and yeah, let's get started. So I think the tip number one that I would start with is pick your style. And I know like it can be very challenging when you like different styles and want to integrate some of these things. So kind of like narrow it down to your top two and try to like integrate a little bit of both, but making sure that they actually go together. So try to go into it with like your style in mind, so you're not having every single room look like a different style. Like let's say you have like your living room is boho and then your dining room is modern, mid-century, or like things like that. So kind of like keep in mind your style as you're walking through each room and figuring out what you'd like each room to have as furniture pieces, and so that you're not going to so that it will look more cohesive and more put together. And I would also say, so for tip number two, the first thing I would do moving into a new home is update the hardware and light fixtures, because a lot of these things that, you know, going through the builder, there's like it's option A, B, or C, and you get to choose which one you want out of these three. So in most of the time, they're not very, they're not as modern or up-to-date kind of style. And sometimes also they won't reflect the style that you have chosen for your home either. And a lot of times too, these upgrades are not even worth it, because the cost difference to buy it with the builder versus like buying it yourself and like on Amazon or something similar would be way cheaper. So I would say skip that upgrade. Don't get those light fixtures or hardware. Go to Amazon and find you some really chic, unique light fixtures and hardware that won't break the bank. And so I'm going to show, like I have some of the ways that I have done that in my home are with the kitchen pendants. I replaced that with another option. I'll show how to pop something here to show what I have replaced that with. And in addition to that, some of the things I changed in my kitchen were the water faucet and the cabinet hardware. So those three main things in that space alone just completely transform the feel and look of the space and making it feel more custom. And in addition to that, the entryway, I wanted to change that because that's the first thing when someone walks in that they're going to see. And I've also changed my dining room. I think I'll show a picture of these things as well as I'm talking through them here. And the bathroom, I think adding in like a more modern paper towel holder, those kind of like hand towel holders, like these kind of things will just completely transform it. And so including the light in your bathroom too. So those kind of like light fixtures and hardware, just right off the bat, that will make your home feel more custom. And adding in a focal point, especially like if typically in a new build, adding in a fireplace can be very costly. And for me, I experienced the same during my new build process, where the price tag that was associated with the fireplace was insane, but I wanted that focal point in my living room. So skip that. And I would say do it later, like we did. And I'm sitting here behind our fireplace in the living room, and that was a DIY. So there are so many resources out there. Like for us, we refer to YouTube. A lot of people have step-by-step instructions on how to build a fireplace. If you have someone in your life who's handy, or even look, if you're not handy yourself per se, try to shop around with like contractors in your area and see how much it would cost to do it later than to do it with the builder. And with that, I think there is so much more flexibility and variety of style that you'd like to incorporate in your home. So like for us, the options that the builders were giving, it was far from the aesthetic that I wanted to go with, but I felt like I had to go with it, but I didn't. And so by skipping the route of going with the builder, not only was I saving a ton of money, but I was also able to pick the style that represented more of like the vibe that I wanted in my home. And I think a more specific example of like our situation is the builder was charging, I would say, $15,000 to $20,000 for the fireplace that came with the builder, versus ours, we spent less than $3,000, I would say around $2,000. And the most expensive part of that was really getting the fireplace insert, because we were very particular about what kind of fireplace insert we wanted. But there's a wide range of prices for fireplace insert, going from $300 up to $5,000. So it's really up to you and your budget. Yeah, so I would say choosing a focal point in your space, and let's say you wanted to opt out of having a fireplace in your living room as well, making sure you have a beautiful console or in your living room that can really ground the space and like be that focal point on top of, like, let's say your TV or like an artwork, things like that. So we'll move on to tip number 3. I would say also adding a fresh coat of paint or paneling. And this one here, before we moved into our home, we had the entire house painted over, because the builder, they had a standard paint that they were offering, and for us to be able to select which one we wanted, it was, one, they didn't have the paint we wanted, and two, upgrading to something else that they had as an option was like very expensive. So instead of, for us to like, what we ended up doing is we hired a contractor, we were able to select the paint that we wanted and give the whole house a fresh coat of paint, because the one that we had before had a yellow undertone, and it didn't make the space feel as bright and vibrant and airy as we wanted it to feel. So adding a fresh coat of paint from like the ceilings to the trim, making sure that that paint color was cohesive as well. So when it comes to the paint color, choosing that to make it feel more cohesive and put together is having the same shade of white as you would on the ceiling and the walls and the trim, to make it feel yeah, like I said, cohesive. And so, but when it differs is when it comes to the finish. So the finish that you choose for your ceiling and your wall and your walls would differ from the finish you would choose from your trim. So that's like where there would be a difference in like what kind of finish you would choose versus the paint color itself. Yeah, so I think like making sure before you move in, before you have like unloaded your stuff, like, it's easier to just for contractors to come in and get that work done without like messing up your furniture or like having anything in the way, and kind of like living in chaos pretty much. So that's one. And one of the upgrades that we also did, is not upgrades, but something we did before moving in, was to have our garage floors done as well. And I think that, like, as anyone would know, like, when you have a garage that's unfinished, it can be very dusty. And so we wanted to be able to have our things there and clean the floors like with like a mop and broom, and use it as a livable space. So that's definitely on top of the paint, and we added that as like a priority before we even got into the house. So those are the main things. I think, like, on top of the paint, one of the ways that I would say to elevate your home is by adding paneling, because paneling definitely makes the that's kind of like where it feels. So another way to elevate your home, like in addition to In addition to the paint, something else that you can do to your walls to elevate them is add paneling. Paneling can really transform a space and the look and feel of it, and adding that design. There's so many different type of designs out there that can really go well with different areas of your home. So like, let's say you wanted to do a paneling in your dining room, let's add like a statement, and I'll show a little bit of like what I have here in my dining room for paneling. And other spaces you can do it is like in a loft or in a bedroom, in your bathroom. Those really transform and make your space feel more unique. So moving on is by adding on a gallery wall or just artwork to your walls. And that's not to say to go around stir crazy adding stuff everywhere. I think the less is more in like these scenarios. So adding a gallery wall, like choosing like a different space you want to do that. Like you can do it in your in a hallway of your home, or like your dining room. Like I have in my home a gallery wall in my dining room, and adding artwork in different spaces that have like a pretty large wall space. And like it, you want to make sure that you're adding something there to fill up the space and bring it together without making it like an eyesore. So a mirror is a really good way to add that kind of like add something to the space as to in a bare space, like a large chunk of wall that you want to fill, like without making it be as much of an eyesore and keeping it minimal. And yeah, so mirrors, gallery wall, or artwork. You can DIY these things. You can go to Home Goods, Lobby, at home. So these places will have something that's really affordable that you can shop without having to break the bank. And so going back to the lighting as well, because I think like lighting is a really important way to elevate your home, because it adds an ambiance to the space, and it can like evoke the space to feel more moody or bright and airy, depending on like which ones you choose to turn on or off. And let's say that you also have a dimmer, which also is really great to set the tone for the kind of mood you want to have in your home at the time. So let's say like you're having in the evening, you're hosting, you can dim the lights, or you can have it be super bright so that people can feel, it can really make the space feel more elevated to have a lot of lighting. And so the different ways I would also add that is sconces. Sconces are really impactful as not only to having the additional source of light, but as a decorative piece as well. So having a sconce and then like an artwork in the middle, and it looks more luxurious without having to also break the bank, because I have some good options here that I have chosen for my home. And referring back to the dining room that I've added, and those were from Amazon, and they were fairly affordable. So and I think that the difference, I can also add a before and after of what the paneling of my dining room looked like without the sconce versus the sconce, and the impact that made just by adding that additional source of light. And with that said as well, a picture light in your gallery wall or above an artwork will also really elevate it to make it feel like you're in a museum or like somewhere fancy. But it feels like that additional touch to bring it to the next level of like being aesthetic. So I would say lastly, the next thing that I would do to elevate my home as soon as I move in, like a new construction or just like a pre-existing home, is adding in drapery. So like your curtains, having those be as high from the ceiling as possible. I would say probably 2 inches or a bit more from your ceiling, so that can give it your space that height that it needs. And also choosing the right drapery to make it feel like higher end. So I have some options here from Amazon that I use in my home that looks really elevated and just give the space a feel of like something that you'd see in a magazine, but it's from Amazon. So I think the right drapery will really make your space feel more like it was like a designer had come into your home and put all this together, or like you went to some expensive store and you had all this done, but really you just did it yourself from Amazon. So another way I would say to elevate your home is by adding some smart touches. So let's say some of the things that you can do is using U lights, or there are some other options on Amazon that are way cheaper. But the convenience with having U lights is that it has a hub that you can have. You can control it all in one place versus buying different things. You're trying to make sure you're able to control that using different devices. It can get confusing versus just having a hub where the click of a button you can set the light of every space, different corners of your home to be the same color scheme. So using U lights is a really great way to do that, and that's a smart light feature. And there is a variety of options, from like things you can add, like light strips. You can have light bulbs or recessed lights, and to add on to that, there is adding in a smart touch by using your updating your thermostat. So Nest has a really good, clean, simple, minimal aesthetic or look of for a thermostat. And whenever people come to my house, they notice that. And because it's the place where the thermostat is placed, it's very visible to the main living room and kitchen area. So having that be not only smart, and it has like very useful capabilities, but just aesthetically it catches your eye as well. So having that is extremely useful and aesthetic. So, and having your the Wi-Fi tap to connect. So the Wi-Fi porter, I would say, is a great smart touch to elevate your home. So when you're hosting and have guests coming over, let's say you have like 10 people in your home, or like 20, or how have you have your housewarming coming and you want to host all these people, and everyone's coming to you and asking what's the password, and versus like having when you have the Wi-Fi tap to connect, you can just refer everyone to wherever you have it located, and they can just tap and have their phone immediately connected to the Wi-Fi without you having to assist them to provide that password each and every time to every single person. So smart touches like that is a really great way to make your home feel more elevated. And I'm also going to refer to some Amazon favorites that I've used right away to elevate my home. So the bathroom cabinet handles, they have this touch on the handle. It's called oxidation finish, and so it has this kind of like different texture from the rest of the knob, and it gives some point of interest. And so I have one that is entirely gold for the kitchen, and also the one for the bathroom. So the bathroom cabinets in my bathroom are gray, and I was able to find the handle that is also both gray and gold, so it really kind of blended in with the cabinets and added some form of interest and made it more elevated and custom. And I would say too that your kitchen faucet, so adding in the kitchen faucet that we chose was also smart, because it has a tap to dispense the water, and you can have that be connected or shut off, so whichever you can alternate between both. And it's a pull down single handle faucet, and one of the key things that I made sure to choose about it was that it was spot free. So as you may know, when you're using your kitchen faucet, as the water splashes in the sink, it can come onto the faucet and add these water stains. So this faucet that I found on Amazon, it was spot free, allowing it to not leave that water residue on the faucet itself. So it made it feel cleaner and more functional and like less high maintenance. So I would definitely use that. Overall, what I'd like to leave you with is that to take your time throughout the process of elevating your home, because it is going to take time, not only to figure out what you like, and also on a budget perspective, what you can afford to buy immediately versus like wait a little longer to have the funds to be able to purchase like nicer, higher quality items. So I would say take your time through the process, making sure that you're choosing pieces that you actually really like, that you're not going to regret in a couple months, that you can stay with. And when it comes to your design style as well, like if you're still figuring out what you like and don't like, take your time to develop that sense of style, learn, research, watch like YouTube videos like this, and like refer to, there's so many different inspirations out there that you can like pick and choose what you want to incorporate in your space that can really help you pull your space together more cohesively. So those were the main tips that I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a lot of good nuggets here to apply into your own home. And I have more content coming. Stay tuned for those. And if you have any thoughts on this video or future contents you'd like to see, leave them in the comments. Would love to see and read those and engage with those. So thank you so much for your time. Have a good one.